Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I'm going to do a series of videos this week, starting today. I'm going to be pre-recording a bunch of stuff because I want to start getting a lot of content out there. So make sure you support the videos if you don't mind. I'm trying to get the algorithm boosted again, and once I get things going, and I've gotten through this coming week, I'm going to start going live more frequently as well. But for the time being, share the videos, hit the like button, leave your comments below because I definitely read them. I read almost all of them, especially because I'm always trying to prune the scammers and the impersonators and things like that, which I'm sure everybody's getting more and more used to. But anyway, I wanted to, I'm going to start off every video with ADA Tokenizer. It's in beta, so if you're looking to mint or create your own cryptocurrency or NFT or collection, you can do so right now very, very easily with a WYSIWYG, interface that makes everything super simple. Just a few clicks. You get a little address, you pay the fee. It's gazillion dollars. It's not. But you pay your fee, and boom, anything you create is minted and sent directly to your wallet, to the address that you paid from. So it's very, very cool. The Telegram community is growing. There have been so many great ideas. There are a lot of new features being added, a lot of stuff coming, as well as our own marketplace that this will work in cahoots with, and a lot more coming after that. So anyway, the first thing I want to go over right now is Celsius Network. This is a little scary to me. I will say that I've exited. I already did. I've been watching Celsius Network against Ethereum for years in terms of price action and things. And at one point, it was up substantially, and I knew it had to have been the peak because I had watched it now for years go up, come down, go up, come down. And as the bull market started to take shape, I started watching Celsius start to wane a little bit in its value against Ethereum. And so I exited, and that was a while ago. But I'm starting to see more of this kind of stuff pop up, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned because the nature of where things are going, primarily in the US, has been really concerning to me. Celsius has been active now for quite some time. They're registered with the SEC, to my knowledge anyway. I mean, I assume Alex Mashinsky has always been the most stand-up dude I've met in crypto. I mean, he let's put it this way. I don't think any of the stuff that's going on right now is any surprise to him. I don't necessarily think he's overly concerned about it. He knew when he started this company that it was likely going to be a fight because that's just kind of what he does, right? I mean, he's a pivotal disruptor to different industries. Whenever he gets into something, he seems like the kind of guy that takes his resources, his intellect, his capabilities, his contacts, you name it, and he says, okay, what industries are really screwing the public? And when he originally started, I mean, keep in mind, this is somebody who's the patent holder for voice over IP. I mean, we wouldn't have things like Zoom or Skype or any of that stuff, most likely, if it wasn't for Alex Mashinsky, right? And of course, there are always other people involved in just about every equation, but I mean, he's pretty much the buck stops with him. So when he launched Celsius Network, he basically launched this for people to unbank yourself. I mean, that's their slogan: unbank yourself. Get out of the banking system. Get away from these places that are basically taking all of your money and abusing you and then charging you for it. And here's an alternative. And obviously, if you're going to go into a business like this and you're going to focus on helping the unbanked or helping people generate a return, I mean, they've been eating the Ethereum blockchain fees, to my knowledge, the entire time. And I understand what that's like. And so that to me is a really big deal. A lot of this application, both the mobile app and the web app, everybody has loved. I mean, everybody loves Celsius Network. And during a time when Celsius launched, there were so many other projects, right? And Celsius is the one that ultimately stole the market share, rightfully so, and really built a huge company out of it. And they've been doing exceedingly well. Now, that being said, Texas and New Jersey regulators, as well now as Alabama, are basically creating some situations for Celsius Network. Companies dealing in cryptocurrencies are not immune from oversight, said New Jersey's acting Attorney General Andrew Bruck. Now, add to this that apparently, and I read this a little while back too, that Celsius Network had partnered ways with Prime Trust. Now, I have personal relationships, or I had personal relationships with Prime, or business relationships, if you will, with Prime Trust. They're also the company that Binance utilized to establish the Binance US systems, because they're a nationally chartered banking institution that enables companies to interact through APIs and all sorts of things, so that customers can go through, do their AML, KYC, all sorts of stuff through a nationally chartered banking institution in the US in exchange for a fee, a cut, service fees, and so forth and so on. And in that, they're able to create a checking account, or basically at least that was on the plan. That was part of the plan. I'm not sure if that's ever launched or not. I think it has, but I'm not sure. I was actually going through Prime Trust back when I was preparing to launch my own exchange. And then, I never even went too deep into a lot of that, but it just, stuff got thick and heavy, and I was concerned. I had a lot of concerns, and it just didn't feel right. And it was just kind of a scary thing, and I thought, you know what, it's not worth it. If I ever want to sleep again, I'm not going to be starting a company where I'm liable for potentially hundreds of millions or millions of dollars, and the security and all of that other stuff associated with it. Given the nature of crypto and hacking and this and that, I just couldn't. There's too much liability, too much gray area, too much uncertainty. But I'm a small fry. You know what I mean? Guys like Alex Mashinsky, they've got the resources, the contacts, the legal teams, all the stuff to combat any of this stuff. I didn't, and I just didn't feel good about it. I thought this is a bigger man's game, and I'm too old. So there's more to it than that. But it just didn't feel right. But anyway, Prime Trust was always pretty good about a lot of things. However, they had pointed out some issues in the systems and things that were being developed by other people, and it wasn't right all the way across the board. But I pulled the plug on that, and I felt really good about it. And I slept really great. Like this isn't going to be a thing anymore. I'm not doing this. So, but Prime Trust and Celsius Network did in fact apparently cut ties, and nobody really explained why. Some people were saying that there were discrepancies in the pricing model with Prime Trust in terms of fees, that there were, like 0.5% or a fraction of a percent that was basically a fee, but it wasn't being advertised as such. And there are a lot of little things, okay? And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, because I don't know exactly what the whole situation was or is or what have you. But I will say that since then, there have been some issues with these regulators popping up. Now, I don't know if somebody went to Prime Trust and said, hey, we're going to start probing, we're going to start doing some stuff. You're a nationally chartered banking institution. You might want to second guess your relationship here. Do you want to be involved with this? Or if, somebody said something to Alex, and Alex said, hey, we're going to be probing, there's stuff going on. I have no idea. All I know is basically what I've seen on the interwebs, okay? So anyway, the Texas State Securities Board has filed for a hearing with the potential to impose a cease and desist order against crypto lending firm Celsius Network for not offering securities licensed at the state or federal level, while the New Jersey Bureau of Securities has ordered the platform to stop offering and selling interest-earning cryptocurrency products. So, this also coming at the heels of what has been going on with Coinbase, where Coinbase has announced that they're planning to launch their own lending platform, earn a percent interest, so forth and so on. What's the common denominator here? The common denominator in all of this is there are crypto companies ultimately creating significant competition for the banking institutions, and the regulators don't like it. This is kind of an old school versus new school war that I believe is just beginning. Now, how this filters into and spills into a lot of the crypto space, I don't know. Obviously, we have the whole SEC versus Ripple situation that's been unfolding like a soap opera. There's a lot of craziness associated with that. The question is, what does this mean for the greater whole of cryptocurrency? And it's kind of concerning to me, because it's obvious at this point that the banks aren't serving anybody, really. I mean, the banks are still making it insanely difficult to just be able to cash out cryptocurrencies, even though they've been authorized to be custody for a lot of this stuff, to my knowledge. So what is the real battle here? Is it, on one hand, I think about it and I say, okay, so the regulators already have all of these systems in place with the old school, the old ways of doing things, right? And they know how to regulate that. They understand the market, the business, how everything should work. They know what they're looking for, so forth and so on. They seem to be very slow in terms of their cryptocurrency-based regulation, right? Because there's been a lot of gray area for a long time. There have been a lot more questions than there have been answers, and nobody really knows what's going on. So what you're ultimately trying to do is you're trying to force this new digital age business, this new frontier, this disruptor of basically all things technology, and taking the power out of the hands of the old school, putting it into the hands of new school, who, in a lot of sense, from what I see, has more of the best interest of the people at heart instead of the institutions, the financiers, the venture capitalists, the families, all this stuff. And so, and just given the very nature of the climate as things are right now, that's what makes this more scary. If we didn't have everything happening that we do right now in all these countries, I wouldn't be as worried. But it seems like anything goes now. Like anything goes. I mean, it's very disconcerting. According to a September 17th filing, the Texas regulator will be holding a hearing related to allegations that Celsius Network is offering and selling securities in Texas that are not registered or permitted, in addition to not registering as a dealer under the state's Securities Act. Should the judge accept that the platform's offerings represented unlicensed securities, Celsius Network may be subject to a cease and desist order, ultimately saying that they won't be able to operate within the state, right? So if you live in the state of Texas, you're not going to be able to use Celsius Network. The thing that we've also discovered, though, is that Texas likes to be the front runner for a lot of stuff. And then depending on what happens in Texas, a lot of states generally seem to follow suit. On the same day, the New Jersey Bureau of Securities announced that it had issued a cease and desist order against Celsius for allegedly funding its cryptocurrency lending operations and proprietary trading, at least in part, through the sale of unregistered securities in violation of the New Jersey securities law. Well, it was my understanding that they did do all that they filed all of that, and they have a legal team that handles a lot of that. So I'm not sure what the situation. Now, they did say allegedly. So maybe whether you did it or not, you didn't necessarily do it unless it's proven in court. Now, I don't know. And I'm just going off of what I've always heard. According to the state regulator, the platform raised roughly $14 billion from those sales. What? I don't think Celsius Network raised $14 billion from I don't know. What do I know? I'm just some idiot from the internet. I have no idea, but this is crazy. Well, a lot of this is news to me. Financial companies operating in the cryptocurrency marketplace are on notice, said New Jersey's acting Attorney General Andrew Bruck. If you sell securities in New Jersey, you need to comply with New Jersey's investor protection laws. Companies dealing in cryptocurrencies are not immune from oversight. I'm sorry, but I don't remember a single time Alex Mashinsky has ever said anything even closely resembling screw the system, screw the regulators, we're doing what we want. I don't think I've ever heard anything other than we work with regulators, we file everything, I remember early on, at least this is what he's saying. I remember early on he was saying that we're one of the few companies that actually did all of these things up front, which is why they were operating. Who in their right mind would operate a company like this against the grain of the regulators? I mean, that's like suicide. Who would do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. None of this is making sense to me. The hearing in Texas will be held either online or in person on February 14th. Should the judge grant a cease and desist order, Celsius Network and its affiliates, Celsius Network Limited, Celsius US Holding, and Celsius Lending, would likely be required to stop offering crypto services in Texas without registering with the state's securities board on the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. So what they're saying is that there's no federal, there's no national, if you register with the SEC and you do everything you're supposed to with the SEC, then it becomes a state thing? You have to do everything state by state by state? And I think that's a part of what Prime Trust originally offered in terms of compliance and so forth and so on. So maybe that's why a lot of this stuff is happening. Maybe somebody leaned on Prime Trust to break the ties, and now because of that, they've got all these customers. They can't just shit on all these customers, so they're still operating. I'm just literally just brainstorming what could be going on. I have not talked to Alex or anybody about any of this. But I'm just thinking out loud, okay? And I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm just thinking, did somebody lean on Prime Trust to break that connection? And now they're going after them because they don't have Prime Trust to handle a lot of the things that basically, as I understand it, help a company maintain compliance with all of these different state agencies. I really don't know. According to the Texas filing, Celsius held more than $24 billion in digital assets as of September 3rd, making the company one of the largest in decentralized finance. Its holdings have grown by more than 2,300% since June 2020, when it reported $1 billion in digital assets. In Texas, Celsius Network has more than $344 million in assets under management from more than 9,000 residents and local businesses as of June 9th. So, and that's the other side of this too, and it's not saying anything about this, but I'm kind of well, is the relationship between Celsius Network and Prime Trust actually done? Is that gone? And if that were the case, was it an abrupt situation? Maybe Celsius is working on rectifying that situation, plugging the gaps that was left by what that relationship filled. I don't know, but it's obvious that these guys are going after them for a reason now. Texas Enforcement Division of the State Securities Board notified Celsius on May 14th that it may not have been in compliance with the State Securities Act. In a September 17th filing, it alleged that the platform's earned interest-bearing accounts were in violation of Section 4.A of the Securities Act, saying they constituted investment contracts, notes, or evidence of indebtedness regulated as securities. Man, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. What do you do? The allegations against Celsius are similar to those both state regulators, as well as their peer in Alabama, levied against crypto lending platform BlockFi in July. The company is scheduled to appear at a virtual hearing in Texas on October 13th to discuss imposing a cease and desist order for allegedly illegally funding its crypto lending operations and proprietary trading through the sale of unregistered securities. In New Jersey, the cease and desist order against BlockFi prevented the platform from onboarding new interest account clients in the state. Celsius users seem to express their disappointment with regulators coming down on the lending platform, but said the move may be due to them attempting to lay down clearer rules for companies moving into the space. And maybe that's the case. Listen, the way I see it, I really, and I, situations like this make it really difficult because I'm absolutely not against regulation. I'm not. We need regulation the same way we need police walking the streets, okay? We need to be protected from those that know more, that are smarter than us, that have more power, more money, more resources. We need a powerful force like the SEC, like any of these groups, any of these regulatory bodies, whether they be state specific or federal or whatever. We do need them in place. But we need them in place to favor the people, not the institutions that have the money, that can afford to pay their crazy high fees for infractions and things like that. And I think that that's a part of what I'm hoping changes. It's just like taxation. There are so many different ways that the tax code, the tax system could change to benefit both the government, the needs of the government, and the people. I mean, there are. It's just things are so focused around, in my opinion, beating down the public and really making life difficult for the general public in favor of those with the power to control that system, that narrative, whatever the case may be. And, companies like Celsius Network set out to try and change a lot of that for a lot of people. And I believe they have. And so, we'll see what happens, as with everything else. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, I hope, and I, I don't know, does this kind of thing go to court? Is this kind of, let me know in the comments below. Like, what do you think about the situation? I mean, do you think that this is fair? I mean, why have they been going since 2017? Why have they been going 4 years now, amassing such a substantial amount of clients, customers, become the biggest in DeFi and so forth and so on, and then suddenly this is happening? That's what I don't get. Why? There's been no secret that they existed. Alex has talked all over the world about Celsius Network and unbanking yourself and the way the system is. And I mean, everything. He's not been hiding. He's been right out front and center saying, this is what we're doing. Here's how we're helping the world. Here's how we're helping people. Why is it suddenly just now becoming a problem for these folks? That's what puzzles me. Is it because, they're trying to put more horses in the stable to start, focusing on narrowing things down and maybe changing the way things work, and in order to, maybe they're going to use Celsius, who knows? Let's just hope for the best and say, maybe this is them coming to Celsius saying, okay, we know that companies like you are here and you're not going anywhere unless we get rid of you. So rather than get rid of you, why don't we figure out how to work together so that you're more in line with the business models that we're used to, and then we kind of meet in the middle and we figure out a happy medium, and then everybody's happy. I hope that's what stems from this, because that is honestly what I think we need right now. We need that kind of unity in the space. We need that kind of mutual understanding where this new disruption of technology, of finance, this new era of blockchain and cryptocurrency and yield farming and interest-bearing accounts and so forth, it's not just in the hands of the bankers that have proven time and time again that we, the people, don't matter. Let's favor some of these companies that actually start a company. I mean, they never even mentioned how many, like, millions of dollars at this point that Alex has personally eaten, or the company has eaten, to make these, different transfers and things for their customers. Why don't they even mention that in this article? Because it's there. So I hope that this ends up having a happy resolve, but we'll have to see. In closing, Alex Mashinsky has time and time again cited that it was they who came up with the concept of paying yield on crypto, and as a result have undoubtedly poured over the many ways in which they can provide for their customers. This to me sounds like a whole lot of guff, most likely to make it look like states and governments aren't just gunning for Coinbase BlockFi. Celsius will weather the storm. Cointelegraph reached out to Celsius Network, but did not receive a response at the time of publication. So who knows? They could have sent them an email and then published this live like 2 seconds later. Who knows? I don't know. I hope it all works out. Let me know, what do you guys think in the comments? Like, could this become a good thing? Is this just like, are they just headhunting, any company that's going to compete with the bank's shitty interest rates on accounts that, they try to keep you away from? Go to your bank account and try and pull out $100,000 cash right now. What do they say? Tell me what they tell you. And that's the thing. The banks ultimately control our resources. They control the capital of the public, and they're paying really low interest rates, if any. I mean, I don't even know. I think at this point now, I mean, since so much has changed, doesn't that actually cost you money to store money in the bank right now? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments, like, what is the situation where you are? How are banks functioning where you are? What do you think about this? Till next time, guys, thanks for joining me. Grow your coins, and I'll see you again soon.